Yes, yes, yes. It is the Cast Worthy Podcast. We are back at you. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine, joined today by the VP of Research and EJ, who has stepped away to get some affairs in order. After many technical difficulties and lots of frustration with our provider, we are now online. Uh, VP, what's going on with you, man?
Not, not much, man. What's good?
Same old stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So came in with a little pun and Ashanti. The verses for Ashanti and Keisha Cole got canceled. I know we were looking forward to that. A lot of people were looking forward to that. A lot of parties and stuff that I saw people throwing. And ironically, it was canceled because Ashanti ended up getting COVID or testing positive for COVID.
Yeah.
Um, the irony in that people were having parties and setting up watch parties and listen parties, and then the performer tests positive for COVID. You think that sends a message at all?
One would hope, man, but I think that people are just kind of like you hear people in the media or the news call it like COVID fatigue. I feel like people feel like they're just over it. Like as if they say, man, I'm tired of this shit. The COVID gonna be like, I guess they're not having it no more. I'm gonna head out. You know,
Well,
so but just it just kind of shows you like with watch parties and that kind of thing where people are still not taking this thing as seriously as they should.
yeah, seriously, man, and it's I don't know, man. This was more. This one was more us, which is interesting. It wasn't
Hmm.
the colonizer so much, obviously.
Hmm.
So we ended up losing that one. That one was postponed to January 9th. Still look forward to seeing that one. And we ended up getting a more West Coast um performance last night with Too Short and E40. I did not take too much part in that. I was in and out of it, but I didn't have my popcorn ready. I didn't call out of work. Wasn't super excited about it. Did you get to see any of it?
Nah, I actually didn't get to see any of it. I actually was I was getting ready to go to bed, and I went on my Twitter just to kind of check the timeline before I you know laid down or whatever, and I saw it trending, and I'm like, I didn't know they was having the verses tonight.
Oh,
So
that's a,
that's about as much as I knew of it, was seeing people talking about it because it was trending on Twitter.
yeah, Too Short. Too Short apparently said something last night like, shout out to the old niggas that still like pussy hair. Oh, which is something that I would have liked to see. Um, but yeah, man, I was in and out of it. The bonus to these verses is we get to see some of the personality that some of these people have, man. And like I said before, I think some of them they just they know that they're gonna be wild, and then so they kind of pair them up with someone who's not too crazy, someone that
Yeah.
and I think E40 was the guy that was not too crazy. Like Too Short was all over the place. Like nigga, I go in any hood, nigga, nigga, you know what I'm saying? Uh,
Hmm.
but the funny part is he like 50 something years old. He look funny as shit, kind
Yeah.
of like that. And then he even looks like an old man dressed and shit. So E40 kind of held it down, tried to keep it a little bit cordial. He was still on, he's West Coast niggas, California, Cali, they still get it in. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I popped in. I probably stayed for about 5 minutes here and there a couple times just to see what was playing. They did the
Hmm.
the crowd or the following or listeners, watchers, whatever didn't seem super high like some of the other ones. I think there was about 240,000 when I got in.
Yeah,
And then when I got in the next time, it was down to like 160 or something like that. So, they're not too hugely appealing people. A lot of people are unfamiliar with a lot of the stuff that Too Short kind of helped out with, wrote, produced, etc. Um,
yeah,
and then of course E40, kind of, kind of old schoolish. And then again, of course, it's West Coast hip hop, which it's not. It doesn't reach out. It doesn't reach the East Coast as much, or even the Midwest, or even the South as much as the South reaches the West and everywhere else in East Coast hip hop, etc. So,
yeah,
the reach is just a little lighter to me.
yeah. I think especially when you talk about West Coast music, man. Like the beats are different, the flow is different. Um, and it kind of it almost takes some getting used to. Um, for me, I besides like Snoop and Dre, like the big names. I never really used to listen to any like West Coast music at all, or up north stuff for that matter either. And then once I went to the military and I got exposed to people from different parts of the country, that kind of started putting me on to some of these guys. Started listening to like Exhibit and Corrupt and guys like that or whatever. Um, so yeah, man, I think it's just kind of what you're exposed to. I also wonder how people were thinking about Kamala after hearing Too Short, because when she was still running for president before she dropped out of the presidential race, when she was on the Breakfast Club, she talked about how Too Short is like one of her favorite artists or whatever.
Really?
you know, yeah. And so, because she's from Oakland or whatever, born and raised in Oakland. So, so I wonder how people who were exposed to Too Short for the first time and like know that about Kamala probably was like, man, she listened to this shit, like, because
Yeah.
Too Short is out there. He got that one track where it's something like he says, "What's my favorite word?" and you hear somebody in the background like, "Bitch." So,
There's a lot of disrespecting women in Too Short's music. Uh,
yeah, she said it's one of her favorite artists, man.
yeah. I mean, Short Dog he's a G, man. He's an OG. But yeah,
Yeah,
point Snoop, Dre, right? Those are generally the big ones. The Game later on in the game. Everybody knew Nate Dogg because he was on everybody's shit, but like if they were talking about, oh, Dog Pound should do one, and I'm like, I don't know if I would even tune in for that. I might tune in to see if Snoop shows up, to see if we get, some collabos, but like
yeah,
I'm not familiar with those guys, Corrupt and all them dudes. I'm just not.
yeah,
It's not familiar to me. You know what I'm saying? I know he
yep,
probably knows a little bit more, and I know he's here to pop in. We're talking about EJ. We lost the Ashanti battle because of COVID, and we ended up with the West Coast joint last night of Too Short
Yeah,
versus
I
E40.
heard y'all.
Oh, okay. And yeah, just the lack of viewership, it looked like just 140,000, 250,000 people at the peak.
Sheesh.
So I know obviously they pushed it to January 9th, so we still are looking forward to, Ashanti and Keyshia. So let's keep our fingers crossed there. Shout out to Ashanti. Hopefully she gets better. Because we surely cannot lose that Instagram. That's for sure. It's a pivotal part of Instagram and black history and black culture. Um yeah, so aside from that, what else do we have here? You guys watched Tenet. EJ, you watched it too, right? I didn't. I haven't had a chance to
No,
watch it. Oh,
I didn't want to watch it. I didn't. It was no need for me to watch it yet. Well, no rush. I might catch it eventually, but we potted about it a long time ago when it was first coming out, and I was talking about how Chris Nolan makes these type films, and people leave confused, and how even the actors when they were shooting said they had no idea what was going on. So I wasn't in a rush to see it.
got you. VP, you watched it last night. I have not watched it, obviously without, spoiling for those who haven't. I know your first knee jerk was, you were kind of still confused after watching it. Would you say how long was it? Was it 2 hours or
It's about 2 hours.
do you think is it without you putting on your getting on your soapbox about people not wanting to think when they watch TV, is it worth spending 2 hours and watching? Like, all right, let's put it this way. You watched it at home. If it was in the theaters after seeing it now, would you have gone and seen it? And it wasn't COVID. If it wasn't COVID time.
If I had seen it in theaters, I think I would have been intrigued enough to watch it again because I definitely wouldn't have understand it.
Yeah.
With the benefit of watching it at home, there were a couple of scenes where like they said some things, so I'm like, What?" And I had to like rewind it to understand like what the fuck they were talking about. But overall, in the movie, like I really didn't know like what the fuck. Like you kind of get the general sense of like what the plot is. You know what I mean? Like there's a guy trying to destroy the world. There's a bad guy. There's a good guy. And in that sense of it is cool. But like the meat and potatoes of how the action is happening and things like that or whatever. It it probably takes a second watch. And what me and my wife ended up having to do was we watched it and then we like talked about it for a couple of minutes. And then I went and found like a YouTuber that I watched for like movie stuff who did like a breakdown explaining like what happened. And it was like, oh, okay.
I
But
don't want
it
to have
was
to
I
do
thought it
that.
was good.
I don't want to have to research it. I mean, I might go ahead and watch it. It's a shame because I thought on Ballers, he's always gonna be Denzel's son. I will never know his name, even if you tell me it. I'm not gonna call him that. He's Denzel's son. Um, I thought that he did pretty good on Ballers, but I heard other things. I heard he just couldn't get into that, like for what he was, like some type of operative, but he was still cocky as fuck. Just not he didn't have like the operative swag to him like you would expect from that type of person. Would you say
Nah,
that?
it wasn't like the swag of like a James Bond. And I think the reason why is that as the movie is going on, like the Denzel son character, he is slowly realizing that like things are much bigger than him. So he's kind of going. He starts off like with the swag, and then
Right.
he's coming to realize there's like so much more happening that he doesn't know. You know, and so I feel like watching it with him, like he's almost kind of like the audience, where like he's learning things as the movie's happening. You know what I mean? And so his character has to kind of be more like amazed at things versus like swaggering through the movie or whatever.
Right. I think I'm definitely gonna watch. I know I'm not in a rush right now. I'll wait for somebody to put it on their Plex server probably. I'm not paying $20.
Allegedly.
And allegedly. Um but I do want to see it, and I hope that, because I know it was supposed to be the movie that brought back theaters from COVID. So I know that's a big fucking, that's something big for a young actor to carry on their shoulders, and Denzel's son. His name was carrying just because he's Denzel's son. But to be like, oh, this is the one that's gonna get Regal back, and then Regal shut the fuck down. I hope he gets another role. I hope he gets some additional roles, which I think he will, based off of his name, and because I would like
Well,
to
he
see him do well.
he already had Black Klansman prior to this, which was more of a success.
I think
Um,
he did well there. Yeah.
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 So I mean, and again, VP's description of the movie, he didn't have that. We got to remember that Chris Nolan is operating in whatever world he's operating in his movies. So you're not really gonna get that typical CIA killer type thing because it's not rooted in reality at all.
Right.
And then again, you're going into a film where if you're working through this and there are seasoned actors along with you on this cast that are saying they don't know what's going on, that's got to kind of present a challenge for anybody when they're sitting here saying like I'm acting through this shit, but I don't really believe it because I don't really even understand it.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point, EJ. And part of the reason why I would say that is the point that you just made is that um even the name of the movie Tenet, right? when they first when the first time you hear that word in the movie, the guy who approaches Denzel's son about it to let him know like he's being brought into this like super secret thing or whatever, he tells him, he's like, there's a word you can use that'll get you into some places, and the word, it's a word and a gesture, and he goes tenant, and then he goes like this. I know, whoever's not watching on YouTube can't see me or whatever, and then like that's like kind of it. But that gesture in the word has like a huge like meaning that's never really explained in the movie. It's one of those things that like once you see what happens at the end, if you think on it, it makes sense. But if you're not thinking it back to something that happened in the first 20 minutes of the movie at the 2 hour mark, you're gonna completely miss that. You know what I mean?
Yep, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go back to it. I definitely will watch it. Who's more batshit crazy to y'all, Nolan or Stephen King?
Probably
Christopher
Stephen King.
Christopher Nolan. When you say batshit crazy, are you saying it in a negative way or
Like just out there, like who? Because you got to be
Stephen King?
I think you got to be an interesting individual. Um, I think it's more than just being creative to produce anything visual, right? Movies, whether it's books turning into, whether you're writing a book, whatever it is, screenplays, right? um you have to be interesting. I've sat down and thought about, all right, let me sit down and how can I start a book or a movie or some shit, and I probably get like 45 words in and be like, all right, this shit ain't for me. I don't have the creative juices, right? But to then think about, like I could probably sit down and write some shit like an autobiography or something similar to growing up in the hood and shit that I know. But to venture yourself out into the crazy shit that these niggas be be dabbling in, that's the type of shit I'm talking about. Like, which one of these niggas you think have more of that spaced out side in their brain, that extra fold?
I mean, I would say it's Stephen King, and I mean, really though, Steve, if you know, I've heard a lot of people like storytellers who get interviewed, and a lot of them say, a lot of it is just being able to fill in gaps, right? You come up with an idea, you know how it starts, and you know how it ends, and then you just have to create the middle. You know what I mean? Like you got to figure out how to get there. Like even people like George R. R. Martin, who wrote the Song of Ice and Fire, more commonly known as Game of Thrones. He talked about when he first created it, he knew where it began, he knew where it ended, and it was just how to get there. Could he have gotten there in one book? Sure. But he decided to do it over 7 books and make it a series or whatever. But it's still that same singular story, just taking place over 7 books.
Got you.
I think with Christopher Nolan, the jury's still out on him and what he's doing because Inception to this, it's kind of like even with Stephen King, a lot of his stuff is rooted in spiritual. It'll be alien. It makes sense, but it's different thought, but it's spiritual. Like if you look at it, um, Dreamcatcher, all of these different things, it's like he borrows from spiritual nuances, like Indian folktale, this and that, and then he spins it. But Nolan is just like, okay, it's like he gets to a place is like nobody really knows what he's talking about. So I mean, he may be worse. But I would say in the negative sense. But Stephen King has been doing it so long and so genius. It's just, it works beautifully.
Yeah.
Got you.
And the thing I like about Nolan, I mean, kind of to go to the comment Steve made is that you got to think a little bit, and by him making his films the way that he does, his films require a second watch. And so imagine if Tenet had come out in the theaters, or I think it did have a theatrical release, but it probably limited. But like if it was non-COVID, people go and watch it. Yeah, you might have some who's like, I don't get that shit, and they're done with it. You have other people who might say, I got to go see that again because I'm still kind of lost, and you could have repeat ticket sales where this film is making more and more money from people who have to go and see it a second or third time, just to get it, So and I kind of like stuff like that make you think where, especially this day and age with cell phones, a lot of us watch TV looking down at the screen where we're kind of listening and not necessarily watching or whatever, where this is something that makes you have to focus and listen to what the characters are saying to each other to understand what's happening.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna watch it, and then I think I'll come back to it, and we can discuss a little further. I know E had some take on it. Before we get into any sports or anything, I know there's a few other topics, but have you guys, since we're here, have you guys been watching anything else?
I did a few things. A Teacher on
Hmm.
Hulu. It's a FX series. It's very easy to watch. It's 8 episodes. It's not long at all. I recommend that you watch it. The plot is a high school female teacher sleeps with her senior student, and things go downhill from there. It seemed kind of incomplete to a degree, but it is a very easy 8 episode watch. I also watched this movie on Disney Plus called Safety. Um, Nice family good feel good movie about a young guy going to college at Clemson, taking in his little brother at the same time.
Isn't that
Mandalorian
based on a true story?
finale. Yeah, yeah. And it's been several stories like that.
Oh, I did see the I saw the trailer for that. I want to watch that. I do want to watch
Yeah,
that.
a feel good little story. It's been several movies like it, but that's one of the more recent ones that came out. Mandalorian. I don't know Steve don't watch that, but that
Wow.
just had its season finale. Ava on Netflix is like an action type female spy. Well, not female spy, but contract killer. Pretty
I watched
decent,
that.
pretty decent. And I watched the Gentleman, uh, which is a movie like one of those movies that you got to think. But it gives you like little plot twists, and it's like one of those comedic type crime comedy type things. Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, um, Colin Farrell's in it. Couple people in it are in it, and it's rooted in London, so it's got that feel to it. So that was pretty decent as well. So some things out there.
You've been on your TV shit lately. How about you,
Yeah.
VB?
Um, I haven't watched much. I watched Tenet last night, like we just discussed, and I did watch Ava last weekend as well. It was after we potted though. That's why I didn't talk about it on that pod. But I did check that out as well. I thought it was straight. Um, you know, some of the family dynamic shit part of it I didn't really care for, but overall I thought it was a pretty solid movie.
Yeah, I have to get to it. I haven't really been I haven't watched much of anything, man. My schedule just fucked up. I've been watching a whole shitload of fucking Mickey Mouse Club, I'll tell you that. In the daytime, shit's on all day. I could tell you everything that fucking Mickey Mouse do. But I could, kind of talking about that shit. That shit is fucking they got built, and you guys know, you guys have kids, but they have a lot of built-in messages
Messages.
for adults and shit. Like there's this one episode with, and I don't want to get into it too much because it's fucking Mickey Mouse, but um like Mickey Mouse, and it starts out where Mickey wants to take Minnie Mouse on a fucking picnic, right? It's the Halloween joint. And then the car breaks down and they stop and they knock on the door, and it's Dracula or Micula, right? It's Mickey's fucking Dracula character, right? And they go in, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Count Micula." He's flying around. He's like, "I also drink grape juice, which is like wine." And he's like,
Mhm.
and Minnie Mouse is like, "Ooh, he can fly." And like you could see like the regular Mickey Mouse looking at her like, "Bitch, what the fuck you doing?" Like, bitch, all right, you want to fly around with this nigga? All right, I got you. Like, it's crazy, or maybe that's just my fucked up brain. Maybe that,
Nah,
but
you're
that's
right.
how I took it, man.
You're
When I
right.
was watching, I'm like, all right, I see what they did here. I see what they did.
Mhm.
Disney. Well, first and foremost, I used to watch the Mickey Mouse Club all the time. All my kids are fortunately past it, but I used to enjoy it a little bit. But Disney is notorious for that, having adult themes woven in all of their characters. And when you really break that shit down and you start to look at some of these joints,
Hmm.
it's kind of terrible, actually. Little Mermaid, they telling her like, yo, don't leave the sea. This is where you belong. Don't bang with them humans. And what does she do? You know what I mean? Leaving the nest, not listening to pops, gets out there, ruins everything for everybody under the sea. It's
Hmm.
the it's a lot. So you're not crazy, man. And when you look at the history behind Disney and how crazy he was, and the writers and the people involved, you're not far off.
True, true.
Yeah. And a lot of that
Hmm.
stuff is produced because I mean, at the end of the day, right? You gotta the kids want to go, but you got to be able to keep the parents or whatever, right? And so
Yeah.
they try to make it to where it's like a cross, And I think one of the first places I saw that was with Shrek, and because like
Oh yeah.
Shrek came out when I was in the military, so like I knew of it but hadn't watched it. And one summer we had my nieces up here, and we were going down to Miami, and so we got a rental vehicle, we got a van, had a DVD player, so they all brought movies and shit. And we're in the car driving, and so Shrek is on. They're watching it and listening, but I only can hear it. And
Right.
like as it's going, like every now and then I keep finding myself like the fuck, like all these double entendres and shit like that, and that shit probably flies over the kids' heads. But I'm listening like they put this shit in the kids' movie. So
Right.
they're all like that, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, man. It's interesting watching that shit. But I have not had a chance to watch much of anything else. I do want to see that one that EJ was talking about, and actually both of them. I definitely want to watch a teacher. You had me at student. Um, I need to find someone that is a student. Speaking of which, because the new Spotify student package is only $4.99 a month,
Yeah.
and it comes with Hulu. Um,
Mm,
so it saves you a little bit of money, and it actually comes with, I want to say it's Showtime. So that's not a bad bundle. 4.99, you get Showtime, Spotify and premium, and Hulu. So hey,
they've always had discounts for students, and I never took advantage of it.
yeah, plug Spotify,
Ye-
plug. That was, that was me giving you some free
Free advertisement.
advertising there.
Absolutely.
Need my pennies, my coins. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to find me a student for that. 4.99. So what's going
Yeah.
on, man? We talked about the West Coast, the West Coast battle. We know the game is from the West Coast. Kind of how this ties in. It makes me think of Wack 100. You guys saw the video yesterday? O- OG
Yes.
Bobby Johnson ran into some Trump supporters, allegedly. They went ahead and um tried to jump him. They went at him, and he cleaned one of them out, laid him out, and his homie had no clue what to do from there. Threw a empty Popeyes cup at him. Got in his Daniel son fucking 3-point stance, and
Got in the cottage.
bounced back and forth, and then was like, you know what? Get his plates.
Yeah, get his plates. Get his plates. That was funny.
What's going on in these streets, man? I think, like VP said, people are tired of being in the house, and now everyone's coming out, and they got this courage, and it's leading to crazy shit.
Uh, Yo, I feel bad, man, because Wack is like when you hear the guy stop. When you hear the guy talk, like, my bad, because somebody wants to be cleaning a plate super loud in the background. Like it ain't even that much on there. But he like clinking this joint, like dog, ain't nothing else on there. But Wack 100. When you hear him talk, man, he's very intelligent. Street guy, served some time, of course, and he like he wants to live his life, man. He wants to do his thing, and it's like, but he's one of them guys that he's not gonna stand for nothing. So we don't know how this encounter went, but I mean, clearly, these two people have much less to lose than he does.
Mhm.
Especially being that he's a felon, he's got probably more money than these dudes, and they're both jumping him. So we can imagine that whatever happened was definitely some bullshit. But yeah, man, shout out to him for holding it down and protecting himself. And I know the question that I raised to you, Steve, that I guess we can get into after everybody's thoughts. As a black person, when you see that go down, do you feel obligated to jump in and assist Whack 100?
Yeah, the video was crazy, man. Like I feel like with all this shit that's happening, these like folks like on the Trump spectrum or whatever, it's just they got a lot more courage than they used to have or whatever, and they're stepping out of the shadows and all this kind of shit. And you know, sometimes you know what the perfect thing is. Remember on Dave Chappelle they had that skit when keeping the real goes wrong, you know,
Mhm.
and that's kind of what it reminded me of, where these guys get ready to keep it real and they find out that Whack 100 keeps it realer, the chips.
Yeah, when you look at it and you think they probably just saw this, black dude, older black dude now, because Wack is older, driving a Range Rover. They probably thinking that, he's marshmallow on the inside, chocolate on the outside. And they figured, oh, we can get at him. Probably start talking crazy. He jumps out, starts talking crazy back, barking, and they're like, shit, we got him outnumbered. You know what I'm saying? Because it looked like it was three of them, but only two of them was about it. It looked like the third one
Might have
might have been
been four
more,
because the
yeah.
dude recording.
And it looked like one of them, at the end walked up, but he wasn't trying to fight or nothing. And so it
Yeah.
looked like, out of four of them, maybe two of them decided. You got, the skinhead, bald head motherfucker that looked like your average Trump supporter, who probably was like, oh, we're gonna get this one. And he got cleaned up real quick, and then his boy was like, shit, I don't know what to do. He was lost. But to your question, EJ, yeah, man, in some way you have to you have to intervene, I think, right? I'm not saying like, and obviously anything like that takes place, Whack 100 being in there, shout out to him, because that shit's not easy, man. Getting jumped and having to fight more than one person, or even to fight one person, nigga, especially as you get older, your breath ain't right, knees ain't right. Like, you ain't wake up getting ready to go out to fight. Like, so he held his own, but um yeah, I mean, in some way you have to get involved. Even like I said, if you're not getting out to fight, right? Because I don't know you, and I don't know if I'm going to risk my my safety for somebody I don't know. But at least to try
Right.
and limit the damage, at least try and intervene and say, hey, listen, cut this shit the fuck out, man. You know what I'm saying? And really stand your motherfucking ground, right? Because ultimately, as a licensed individual, if I feel like Whack 100 was getting jumped, and let's say they were getting the best of him, I have the right to make a determination or decision if I feel like he was in extreme danger, right? You know what I mean? To let off in one of them based on the law, right? And that's always going to go back to, well, now it's a black man shooting a white man, vice versa, and we know how that plays out. But I think you do have to. I think you do. I think, and not only with that, but I think, ultimately what we always talk about is we see these black women, getting disrespected daily, right? We're seeing all these videos on the internet of white men pulling up to black women, next to them, hey nigger, hey this, hey that, right? And And we see the videos where people are doing it, and there are other black men present, and they're either recording, watching, laughing, or whatever, and not intervening, not saying anything or doing anything, man. And I just think as people, we do have to do something. If we're not getting involved physically, we still have to at least try and fucking help the person and prevent injury.
Yeah, I think you summed it up very well, and captured my feelings exactly. Um, I don't know in this instance because I mean I don't know that these guys are Trump supporters or anything like that. Because the way that they were filming and everything going on, I don't know. They might have known who Wack is, depending on where they at. They might be cloud chasing. I don't know for sure, but to your point though, and that even goes into the video where the two women are fighting in Walmart, and it's just like, god damn, like, they got to that point, like you see one shorty without the guy, another shorty with a guy, then they get to scrapping in the Walmart, and then it gets bad for the one that was talking crazy, to the point where the one, she like two steps on her head, you know what I mean, like literally just stomps on her temple. And it's like, it's so crazy because in those instances, man, and just being 100, like, some people, one of the rules in the hood is if two people going at it, don't jump in because you might get hit. And then you don't know if you try to stop something, as dude going to try to jump in. And then we seen those instances where in Disneyland, where that one time where big dude was knocking chicks out. And it's just like, I think you hit it on the head where just as a people, and I mean specifically black people, we got to do better by one another, man. Like, with everything going on in the world, is it that serious for us to be? And I'm not talking about Wack specifically, but I'm starting at black people on black people. Is it that serious for you to be fighting somebody in the store? Then it's like, okay, well, can two people come in and intervene and not have Shorty get stomped on her temple? And then it's like, okay, we see the Wack 100 situation. Yeah, do you hop out the joint and be like, yo, back the fuck up? Like, oh, nah, this is not going down. So it's like, man, it's just like with everything black people got going on, it's like, goddamn,
Mm.
it's just it's just like never ending. But shout out to Wack definitely for getting on this prison shit. Finding the corner real quick.
For real. What do you think, BP?
Nah, I mean, I'm kind of right there with EJ, man. Like, if you think about the kind of things that happens in a Walmart, I could imagine how this fight started, because a lot of times, somebody doesn't start recording until shit starts popping off or whatever, right?
Right.
But I could imagine somebody being cut in line, or maybe my cart bumped yours when I was walking by, or some shit like that. You know, the person walks up and was like, "Oh, he was holding my space," that kind of thing. And I asked myself, like, is this something that I need to have an all-out fucking brawl over? You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, it kind of goes back to the thing when we talked about the thing that happened at Chipotle with the people who pulled out the gun, the white people and the black folks or whatever, where like somebody bumped somebody coming out the door or whatever. Okay, the person's rude, da da da. But doesn't need to escalate to a point to where guns are being drawn or somebody's head's getting stomped on or whatever. And
Right.
I think that people don't ask themselves those kind of questions. Most people are on they're on ready set. They're just waiting to go. You know what I mean? They leave out the house with that "I wish a motherfucker would" type vibe.
Hmm.
And it leads to these kinds of things. And I don't know what happened with the Wack situation and the white dudes or whatever, but speaking of the video from the Walmart, I could imagine that it started off as like some trivial, minuscule bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and as the thing about it too, man, is like you said, people leave the house with that "I wish a motherfucker would" attitude. As bad as you are, as bad as you think you are, there's always somebody out there that's badder, nigga. And even if they not badder, all they
Mhm.
gotta do is catch you right. You know what I'm saying? And you could be cleaned the fuck up, and it could be more than just being on fucking World Star or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You could fucking get damaged. And you might run into that nigga that don't wish a nigga would, can't fight, and but fully trained, ready to put a hot one in. You know what I
George
mean?
George
Center
George
mass,
Zimmerman.
nigga.
George George Zimmerman, straight might be a coward and provoke it and wind up killing you.
Indeed, indeed. Um, no doubt about it. So, but yeah, that Walmart one was crazy too, EJ. I just don't know if it's worth it about getting, getting a game system or a TV or whatever the fuck they were beefing over. Like it's just it ain't worth it, man. And then even if it's just a crazy fight like that, but if the cops come and you got to deal with paperwork and now you're getting it's just I don't know, man. For me, a lot of stuff that happens, it's all about convenience and inconvenience for me, right? So I think about car accidents and stuff like that. I'm thinking more about my time, nigga. Like now I would have to stand on the side of the fucking road for an hour or two over some bullshit waiting on somebody. You know what I mean? So same thing with
and not
that type of thing.
and not just that,
I was
Steve.
gonna say
There's
something
this
real quick though.
commercial like
You know what I was thinking the whole time I was watching the one shorty by herself. I was like, damn, she kind of thick. I'd have ran up,
Of course you were.
I'd have ran up in there and been like, yo, you ain't gotta do all that.
Yeah,
You know?
we would expect nothing less from you.
oh my god. But but now I was gonna say, the one thing too is I don't know if you guys caught it, but it's like this DUI commercial, and it talks about like
Mm,
how Scott was gonna have this, but because he got a DUI, he never met his wife, and then he never got to go out on his boat, and like everything is saying he never got to do. Things are just vanishing, and then it's like the last one is like and he never got to walk his daughter down the aisle at the house that he would have built on this piece of land, and then the house vanishes along with the kid, and it's just this vacant lot or whatever, and it talks about like all these things you can lose from a DUI, and you kind of put that in the same perspective of like the chicks in the Walmart or whatever, right? Because like the chick who stomped on Shorty's head, I'm pretty sure she'll go out and say self-defense or something like that. We already know how those kind of claims work, especially for black people. And now you got a battery charge. Battery in most states is a felony. And now, if you end up losing the job you currently have, if she is working, when you go get that next gig, it's going to ask you, have you ever been convicted? You're going to have to click yes or check yes. You know what I mean? Now,
Yeah,
do you lose job opportunities because you're seen as a violent felon or whatever? You know what I mean? And all of these repercussions that can happen down the line basically because somebody bumped your cart in Walmart and you don't play that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on,
right.
bro.
You got the right one today.
Exactly.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man, it's crazy. But yeah, so let's move on from that, man. I mean, the moral of that is obviously people just got to relax, man. Like VP said, I think people are just tired of it being in the house. You get out and
Well, I think some of that is too. A lot of people don't that are easily into those situations. They never really been in those situations.
that too. That too.
Yeah, I dated somebody who popped the most shit in the world. Never had a fight in her life.
And now I was gonna say the same shit that at before you said that and you said they weren't in them situations. It's true, man. Motherfuckers being there like yeah, rah, 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 rah. They expect that someone's gonna get in the middle. They expect someone's gonna stop it. You know what I mean? And when it don't, oh man, oh
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my this, that, and the third, but I bitch, she's not here now.
we see how that look. And bring him on over here. He gonna get fucked up too. People,
He gonna catch his hot one. Better be ready.
shit. So yeah, man. Let's move on. There is a new king in this place, man. There is a new king of the sports picks in this place. VP, you had a rough week last week, bruh.
Mm.
It was not good. You went 8-8. I went 12-4. I could have probably done really. Oh no, I'm sorry. I went 14-2 rather. 14-2. And then EJ went 9-7.
The only thing I can say
Mm.
about that is looking at the results, I know that these results were totally rigged and
You want to stop the count?
Stop the count. Last week. Stop the count last week.
Stop the count. Oh, what? Yeah, let me get that pulled up. What are you referring to, EJ?
No, well, I before I jumped off, man, I wanted to talk quickly.
Oh, I did miss that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but before we get into the sports, because we would be here forever, and I gotta unfortunately jump off. But pause. But yeah, man, the two things more recently that we've seen in the news related to the cops in Chicago. Chicago cops maybe 2 years ago kicked down social worker's door as she was butt naked, um, handcuffed her and ransacked the house, and then in Kansas you have a situation where a sheriff literally uses a vehicle to run a guy over as he's fleeing. And I believe that happened some time ago as well. Um, and it's just, I know we talk about this often, man, but I just felt we would be remiss just not even to say anything about it. And just more insight on the situation in Kansas with the guy getting hit by the car, 35-year-old guy. He's a former officer himself. He had got pulled over. Uh, One cop car came, then multiple cop cars came. He said he got scared. He fled, running shirtless. The deputy uses the car to knock him down. Supposedly he had a warrant like days before from fleeing officers in another state, but irrelevant in this sense. But yeah, man, sustained some injuries. Just two incidents, man, where again, this police state in America, what is going on?
Won't they find a
Yeah,
way?
man. The situation in where was it, Oklahoma or Arkansas? I can't. I know it was in the middle of the country.
Kansas
Um,
with the guy getting run
Kansas,
over.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see this video and the guy looks like EJ said, he looks he's shirtless, black man. He's running through like some kind of a field or something, and it wasn't a cop car. It was actually a cop truck, like an F-150 or some shit like that. And the guy is running, and you can see, you know how when you're running, Steve, and you're like you're like on fumes at that point, and arms are kind of flailing, like the form is just all fucked up. You know what I mean? Like you're like 10 steps from breaking the tape, basically, if you're in a marathon. You know what I mean?
I didn't see this
Like that,
video, man.
like that's how dude. I posted it in the chat the other day. I'll try to find it and
Yeah.
repost.
I
But
posted it again this morning.
oh, okay. But that's kind of how dude looks. He's running on fumes. In the next 10, 20 seconds, he's fucking done. And they're in cars. It's not like they're running out there on foot. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the officer pulls up on the side of him and just, turns the wheel a little bit and bangs him with the fucking front of the truck. And this dude just goes down, and then, they get out guns drawn or whatever. And it's like, yo, like what the fuck? Like you could have seriously hurt this motherfucker, fleeing from a traffic stop or some shit. You know what I mean? This shit is
Right.
crazy.
And the kicker
And
and the kicker about it is he was a former cop. He's a
yeah,
former cop. And he said, like,
and
I ran because I fear for my life. I'm in the country, backwoods. It's nobody out here. They had one cop car and multiple cop cars. He feared his life. Granted, fleeing arrest is lawfully wrong, but it doesn't constitute getting run over.
right.
So did he hit him? Did he?
Steve is terrible.
Yeah.
It's just the way Mari tells the story because I haven't seen it. Did he hit him hard? Like, was he going fast?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because the way
Yes.
the way Mari made it sound is like he caught up to him in the car and like instead of just stopping and getting out, he just like sideswiped him and caught him with the front fender, just like a hey, fuck
That's
you.
what he did. He
That's
sideswiped him with
exactly
it.
what he did. That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did.
Oh god. Who was this a body cam or like where did this video come from?
Dashboard
I think it was
cam.
like a dash
Dash
cam.
cam rather. I'm sorry. Um,
Mhm.
so do you guys think like do you guys think that we are just getting a lot more of this stuff because well, obviously we are, but this is gonna sound like Trump with the testing, but do you think and we know this is happening otherwise, but do you think we're just getting it because there's a lot more exposure to cameras and shit like that? Which we didn't have historically. People weren't walking around. You literally there's a camera on everything right now. Kids fucking video games have cameras on them. It's just a matter of when you get to the internet, all you have to do is then upload whatever footage you caught.
Yeah, and thank
I
God
think
we
that's a
are.
big part of it.
No, yeah, but yeah, and thank God we are. And you know the craziest part about it is now that we have, I mean, even going back to 92
Mm.
with King, and that was on film and they still walked. Now we have better evidence, better cameras, more real-time action, more correspondence and everything, and they still getting off. With the motherfuckers in Chicago, you got people on this task force on this team that kicked in this lady's door that still haven't been interviewed about this
Yeah,
2 years
Mhm.
later.
yeah,
You know, and we have this on camera. And the scariest part about both incidents, thank God that neither one of these people died. But I couldn't help but thinking, like, damn, Steve has a dog, weapons, etc. Like, what if they went in the wrong house? You know, this is, and we talked about this before, Breonna Taylor, and people were talking about, well, we got to protect our black women. The crazy part of that situation was that the boyfriend was doing exactly that, and unfortunately, the return fire didn't, it hit her, but that was exactly what was going on, so it all of this coupled together, it's like we have all of this shit and we still can't get justice. We still can't get reform. We still can't get a different mindset. It's always that, what did they do, or this or that. Like these instances, both on camera, the lady sitting there naked, you know, they searched the home, they sat in the car, was like, damn, we fucked up.
yeah,
It's wrong spot, and still, and 2 years later, still no one has even been interviewed.
yeah. She about
Right.
to be
A-
paid
And
though.
and the thing about the woman who's the social worker in Chicago and the Breonna Taylor situation that really got me was the body cameras. Where in Chicago they did have body cameras, but in the Breonna Taylor situation they didn't. And what I thought was very I don't want to say interesting, more I guess fucked up about those two situations was that in Breonna Taylor's situation, they talk about how when they knocked on the door, bang, whatever, they said, police, search warrant, etc. before they bust in. The boyfriend says no, they didn't, and neighbors also say they never heard anybody yell out about police, whatever, whatever, right?
Hmm.
And in this situation in Chicago, once the cops realized they fucked up, they turned the body camera off. And we've talked about this on this podcast, and I hear people who are activists talk about it in media that I watch, where I don't understand why these cops have the ability to just turn off the body cam or turn off. They can turn off either the mic or the video or both. And I don't understand why this is an option because what's happening off camera more than likely is that they're getting their shit together, right? They're getting the story straight.
Yep.
And then when this woman goes to sue, there's this missing footage to kind of show where hey these cops knew they were negligent or they knew they did something wrong, whatever whatever, and then she can't get the kind of settlement that she should be entitled to because of this missing footage. I understand that these people have to go to the bathroom during their shift or whatever, and that's probably why they have the ability to turn off the camera or the microphone or whatever,
Hmm.
but they need to figure out a better way because it seems like, or not that it seems like, these cops are essentially turning off the recording function of the body cam system in order to avoid any type of corrective action for any wrongdoing that they're a part of.
Oh, that's definitely happening. I mean, you and I, we work in, we've worked in call centers for a long time, right? And so if you gave an agent an opportunity to not record themselves for a difficult call, they're gonna turn that shit off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they know that they could and possibly would say something that's not doesn't meet standards and could lead to something, it could lead to them losing their job, right? And so I'm not justifying it, but they're definitely doing that. There's no question about that. Um but yeah, man. I mean, I guess the EJ's question, the policing of what's going on in the United States, it's just out of control, man. It's out of control, and it's not even something like situations like these are not situations that you can fix with defund the police. You know what I'm saying? Like these are not people going to calls that they shouldn't be at, right? When we talk about and we hear defund the police, we think, all right, we don't need a cop to go, like we talked about here. We don't need a cop to go to a school for a 12-year-old or 10-year-old or 8-year-old kid, that might be having an episode, right? We don't need a cop to go to, a home, where it might even be an adult who's having an episode, right? And if they do, maybe they stay outside and they're accompanied by somebody who's trained, a trained individual who can go inside, a social worker, or EJ, somebody like that, who can try and talk this person off the ledge without a gun so that they don't make a brash decision, right? And but these are different, right? These are the ones where, maybe something did happen, maybe they are looking for something, but you know, they're just taking their power too fucking far, man. They're taking their power too fucking far. Um, and I've always said it, man. A lot of cops are just fucking pussies that got bullied in school, and they, were never able to fight back. And now they grow up, they get a little bit of power, and they feel like they can treat people like shit. Um, and those ones I think we see
But
like that.
But
you
you know
know
what,
what
Steve?
though,
Though
and even to your point, and I'm gonna let go on this one. It's just even in all of that, because we could, and we talked about this throughout the week. Whatever we see is defunding the police, whatever the solution is, right? But just in the scope of things, you bang down the door. Okay, you see this lady naked. She's an older woman. She's
Bucket.
butt ass naked. She she's bucket naked. She is no threat to
Yeah.
you at any point. You've cleared the house. Now hours later, you still have this woman handcuffed, not only just handcuffed, but naked. Like, at what point do you just humanly just do the right thing? What point do you just not be a fucking jerk? What point do you just, and then on top of that, like you said, this is a time where they were supposed to go in, but you went in the wrong place. At what point in time did you do the due diligence to do the right thing? And then when you realize that you was in the wrong, you still had this woman here naked and screaming and crying, and then you're still questioning her. You're still treating her like she's a suspect. It's like, come on, man. Like, it's just to, like you said, and it's just like we have a problem in this country, and I don't even think that people really see it because they're not subjected to it. But we're literally living in a state of world where the police are the judge, the jury, and executioners at any given time, and nothing will happen to them. And that's the real core of the problem. We talked about them having tact vehicles and tactical stuff. Sometimes it's warranted in a city like LA or New York or Miami, where you got 12 suspects barricaded and they letting off. VP's people, they letting off. You know how they do them,
It
the Masons.
guns.
They wilding, no. They wilding down
No,
there.
no, no.
You know what I'm saying? Jean Claude and them. You might need that.
Jean Pierre.
You might need that, right? But it's like, okay, outside of that, it's just the other shit that goes on that just makes these guys and girls and women and people feel untouchable. Geiger just busting a dude crib, shoots him while he's sitting on the couch, man, while she's stone drunk. And I mean, it's just, come on, man. It's just disgusting at this point. It's disgusting.
and to piggyback on that, EJ, part of the problem is that when you look at both Breonna Taylor and this woman in Chicago, right, is you have bad paperwork, and it seems like the cops who are executing search warrant, arrest warrant, whatever, where any police interaction can result in death. And it seems like they're treating it with the same level of seriousness that you would treat something like, hey, did I leave the light on? Like they're not double, triple, quadruple checking this paperwork to make sure, do I have the right address? Do I have the right name? Is all my T's crossed, all my I's dotted before I go in here to execute this warrant that's going to allow me to deprive somebody of their liberty, where things could escalate and I end up depriving them of their life. And it's not treated with that level of seriousness, you know what I mean? To where you're kicking in the wrong door and you got this woman in handcuffs who's butt ass naked, and you don't even have the decency to cover her up until after minutes and minutes and minutes of all these men in her house while she's naked or whatever, all over your body cameras and shit like that or whatever. The shit is just foul, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is completely different. I wonder what takes why does it take 2 years? I wonder if it's maybe just because they wait for them to go to trial, or like what would take it 2 years for something like that to surface?
That part is not clear to me. The only thing I understand from that is that there's like some kind of like review board process or something
Mhm.
that that folks in Chicago are looking at, and apparently the cops participation in this thing, it must be voluntary or something. And it could have things to do with like their union and things like that. But I don't understand, to your point, is, the city of Chicago, who employs these police officers, are doing an investigation to figure out what the fuck happened here. I don't know why it takes 2 years. All those cops still work for the city of Chicago. Why can't their commander come in and say, hey, Johnson, you need to go meet with the review board or whatever. That shit needs to be done by, 1 o'clock before you go on shift or whatever. And
Right.
and then it's just that. And if you don't do it, then in my opinion, I would say you're going to be let go. But in this case, they can't just fire them because of their contracts and shit like that with the union. But it just kind of goes to the problem of how much power police unions have, and one of the greatest use of that power they've done is to essentially remove accountability from police departments,
Yeah.
to where these cops, I mean, and I get it, like from what the cops said on camera in the video that I saw, the news report, it seems like the paperwork got fucked up somewhere in the pipeline. Like maybe they submitted it saying 123 Main Street to the court, and then when the court sent it back, it said 132 Main Street, and nobody double checked that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And shit happens, right? And luckily, shit happened in this case, and this woman didn't lose her life. But instead of saying, what did we do wrong here so we don't do that the next time? How do we fix this? How do we make this right for this woman that we essentially embarrassed? It's, we have to delay, we have to deny, and then we're going to defend, because that's usually what uh, um, uh, police departments do when it comes to accountability for them, is to delay, deny, and then defend. And the shit is just truly fucked up that these people who are supposed to be public servants, people who are supposed to be defending us, seem
Mhm.
like they're against us.
Yeah, and when you watch the video, as soon as they pop in, she's like, what's going on? Like she's
Yeah.
pleading with them, like, what's going on? Why are you here? What's going on? Why are you here? So it takes all of 2 minutes for you. And realistically, I would assume that it's probably part of their policy and procedures for them to let somebody know why they're fucking there before they just go ape shit crazy. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Serving a warrant or not, right? If you're like, hey, is this person here? I'm pretty sure they have to ask, hey, is this person here? This is what we're here for. Well, here's the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? If you're not
Yeah.
if you're not in there, if you're not in there running to get somebody that's like a known felon, that might have just killed a cop or some shit like that, and he's in there armed and dangerous. That kind of shit that they were doing it's just out of control, man. They just got to do a better job than that. It's
Yeah,
not
man.
right. Not right.
It is in
Um,
fucking sane.
yeah, man. All right. So let's get back to and yeah, we'll come back to that. Let's go ahead and get into some of this. Have you watched any of the preseason before we start looking at the picks? The NBA preseason rather?
Nah, I've
Not
seen
at
like
all?
a couple of highlights on Sports Center, but I haven't watched any games.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I've been watching, and it seems like, what's pretty interesting is it's a shortened preseason. It was a shortened off season for some and a long off season for some. But it seems like the teams that it was a longer off season for, like New Orleans, they've been playing their starters a lot more in preseason. So like Zion is averaging like 30 minutes in preseason.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously you're seeing LeBron AD, they're playing like the first half, and then they're sitting out, which is rightfully so.
Yeah.
A number of other stars are either just sitting out completely, the older ones, Chris Paul's of the world and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I've been watching it, and it's been pretty interesting. I'm excited for this season. I hope they do everything to keep people safe. The fan stuff is going to be concerning, especially since they're starting the season right around on the holiday.
Hmm.
Um, and people are just being irresponsible as it is during the holidays. I saw a fucking party last night. It wasn't even a holiday party. It was just somebody that I follow in New York that he was just like, "Hey, I feel like throwing a party 2 weeks ago, right?" Throws together some flyers, rents a fucking hall. Um, there was probably easily about 150, 200 people in there, right? And as he's showing the video, there's and it's a headphone party. So have you seen headphone parties where everyone has headphones on? There's
Hmm.
generally three different stations. So the music's not playing loudly. There's no speakers or anything like that, right? Everyone has
Okay.
headphones on, right? And I've seen these before, and they seem interesting. You tune to a certain station. There's three different DJs, and you might have soca. Depending on what you listen to, you might hear reggae, you might hear hip hop, right, or Spanish, whatever, right. And so, but because of that, your knee jerk is to sing the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Because you have headphones on. So he's recording, and you hear, like, you see like there's an image of what he's recording, and almost everyone has the red on, right? Because it was red for one station, green for another, right? Everyone has the red on, and apparently it was a popular song, so everyone's yelling it, at the top of their lungs.
Yeah.
Naturally, saliva. You know what I mean? That's all I could see. I could
Droplets.
think, right? Droplets. And uh, do you think there were a lot of masks in there?
No.
No, no, there were not.
No.
Every video he recorded, he did not have a mask on, and every video where there was a little bit of light where you could see people's faces in the background, no masks. So, yeah, that's gonna be a thing. That's gonna be a thing. Um,
And this was like an NBA player or just like some guy?
no, no, this was just a random guy. But
Oh, okay.
I was just saying that to say, to mention how irresponsible people have been, and with the NBA starting, they got to be careful. In my
Right.
eyes.
The thing that worries me about the NBA is go back to beginning of football season and remember when we watched Hard Knocks
Mhm.
and the guy, I can't remember his name, but the older dude who's the offensive lineman on the Rams, when him
Whitworth.
and his whole family, yeah, when him and his whole family got COVID, they got it
Mhm.
because their nanny went to a restaurant with some friends, contracted it there, and then gave it to them at their home watching their kids, right?
Yep.
And so just think about like how easy it is for it to spread. But at least in the NFL, these guys play on Sunday. Sometimes you might get the Thursday night game, Monday night game, whatever. But then you're off for a full week. So if you
Yeah.
test positive on Thursday or something like that, they can catch that. The NBA, you might play on Monday, Tuesday on a back to back, Wednesday off, play again on Thursday, and then because sometimes they say once you've been exposed, you got to give it like 3 to 5 days to kind of get in your system to be able to test positive, right?
Oh, I'm
So you play
sure.
Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, play again Thursday, and then you pop positive on Friday. What does the NBA do in that point now? Because you play for the Cavs and you play the Bucks on Monday, you play New York on Tuesday, and then you play the Heat on Thursday, and then you test positive on Friday. But now the Heat played the Lakers after playing you, and then they played Houston, and then Houston played New Orleans. You see where I'm going with this shit? You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? So that's why the bubble made so much sense. But now that they're not doing the bubble, I could see COVID getting out of control in the league if a player ends up popping positive, even if it was no fault of their own, and you had a situation like we had in the NFL where a nanny got the player sick, you know?
No questions. No question about that. They play games way too frequently for them
Hmm.
to have, unnecessary exposure. We'll call it, right?
Yeah.
I do agree with you, man. I agree with you there 100%, especially with those back to backs. And maybe, I mean, have we seen? I haven't really taken a look at the schedule, but maybe they should have taken that into account and really thought about that with the, with the scheduling and try to give as many days in between as possible. Granted, um, you know, the incubation period of COVID, there's so much time and so much room for error there. But they did so good with the fucking bubble, man. And I hope they don't revert. And I hope Adam Silver doesn't fuck his name up because
Yeah.
he's just like, well, fuck it, I'm getting pressure, because that's generally what that is. That's what it amounts to is pressure.
And I
Um,
think the pressure is coming from the players. Like, I don't know if you saw that interview with LeBron where he was talking about the bubble. And like I'm hearing it and I'm like, I get what he's saying, but sometimes I think these guys can be a little tone deaf. Like when they like remember when they first went in the bubble and people were like, man, look at this fucking hotel room, da da da. And it's like
yeah.
this hotel room is like the size of some people's fucking 2 bedroom apartments, like, and you're
Hmm.
bitching, you know what I mean? And so LeBron was doing the thing and he was like, man, people don't understand how hard the bubble was. It was 8 weeks and you in there and you don't have your family, you can't sleep in your own bed, you can't see your kids, you don't have your chef. And I'm like, your chef? Like,
Man. You know where else you don't have all of that? In heaven, nigga, or hell, or in a box if you don't believe in those two.
and I'm thinking like, I get it. Like this is what you're used to. This is how you live your life to be able to do the things that you do or whatever. You got a chef and a personal trainer and all that kind of shit like that or whatever. But sometimes you should just keep certain shit like that to yourself. When you look at week after week after week, we're seeing hundreds of thousands of people filing new unemployment claims and not existing, brand new unemployment claims, and people are tuned to the news every day to see if the government's going to send them 600 fucking dollars. And you're talking about, man, this bubble was terrible. I
It
was
was
in there,
so
I didn't
hard.
have my chef. Like,
I had to eat chicken nuggets.
you know, like, like like fucking John is like, man, I had to stand online fucking 6 hours at the unemployment office to fill out this form to get $200. And you like, nigga, you think that's bad? I didn't have my chef for 8 weeks.
Imagine, imagine the life. Listen, just read the room, man. That's all. Just read the
Exactly,
room a
yo.
little better. These cats,
Exactly.
I tell you. Um, yeah, but we'll see, man. NBA has looked okay. You've seen guys out there balling. Some of these rookies look pretty good.
Hmm.
EG's not here to talk about it, but their little rookie that they brought in, I forget his name. I can't get it off the top of my head, but he's looked pretty good too. Um, so yeah, I'm excited, man. Friday's I didn't realize yesterday there was football, so we missed our picks yesterday. There is a football game
Oh,
Friday as well, apparently. On or is Friday
on
Christmas or Saturday
Friday.
Christmas? What's Christmas? Friday, yeah.
I think Christmas is Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently there's a football game on Christmas and there's obviously basketball on Christmas. There's always football on Christmas. Or I'm sorry, there's always basketball on Christmas, but there's a football game
Yeah.
on Christmas as well on Friday. I think it's Minnesota and someone else. So that's gonna be interesting, man. Friday's gonna be a good look. I guess maybe this is a way for people to possibly stay inside. You know,
Yeah.
Stay the fuck home, watch Wonder
At your
Woman,
own house.
wa yeah, at your own house, right? Watch Wonder Woman, watch basketball, watch football, um, and relax, man.
Yeah.
But, yeah, let me get so I started talking about it, but, I am now the king. Um, I have
Uh,
the
real
throne.
quick, Steve. Real
Yes.
quick before you go to that, since you're on NBA, I don't know if you saw I put in the chat. Rudy Gobert signed a 5-year, $205 million extension with the Jags.
Yo, I think the
Max.
NBA just got money just to throw around, dog, because holy moly. Don't get me wrong, Rudy Gobert is a good player, and I mean, if you really think about it from a defensive standpoint, centers and things like that, he's valuable. That's a lot of fucking money though, dog. Between him
Yeah,
and Paul George, they just
yeah.
giving money away.
But I mean, you figure that they're spreading money between 15 guys. You got a salary cap of like $100 million. You got 15 guys. Of the 15, maybe 4 or 5 of them might be double digit salary. All the rest is, you know, 3 million, 6 million. You got a couple of guys on your team who only make a few hundred thousand. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those guys who don't normally play, they just practice and be hype man on the bench.
The dudes that
Um,
don't have a chef.
yeah, exactly. So, so yeah, man, it's crazy the amount of money being thrown about in the league. I think I read something that said like over Jordan's entire career, I think he made something like 80, $90 million, like in NBA contract money, not the endorsements, all stuff like that. And you have these guys making that shit like on a contract. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is something this dude made. The best player in the world made this money over his whole career, and these dudes are getting that shit in the like shit. LeBron's new contract he just signed is fucking 2 years, 90 million. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm,
he's in year 17.
right.
So
God,
that
dog.
thing's crazy, man.
Yeah, they just got money to
Crazy.
burn, man. And that just goes to
Yeah.
show, right? Fucking meanwhile, our teachers are out here fucking putting their lives on the line, you
Yeah.
know, for kids to further their education, and we don't appreciate it. Some of us do.
Hmm.
Bulk of people are not appreciating it.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. I'll take a little bit of that. Just give me 10%. I'll be
Yeah.
happy.
Yes, he's upgrading to the chef package.
Yeah. And we giving $200 million to the guy who decided when COVID came out it was a joke and touched a bunch of microphones and spread the fucking disease.
Yo, I forgot that was Rudy Gobert who did that shit. He's the
Like,
reason the NBA shut down. You damn
yo.
right.
So he either saved some people, like he's oh man, yeah. Fucking Gobert, dude.
Wow, I
uh
forgot about that shit.
yep. Funny man, Gobert.
Hmm.
Um so we missed the picks for Thursday and last night.
No, I thought
Last
we got Thursday in.
did we get Thursday's game? Let me see.
Yeah, we picked it. Um, Chargers and Raiders. I believe we picked that game.
No, we didn't. We ended
Oh shit.
Baltimore, Cleveland. Yeah.
Okay.
And then last night, Buffalo became the AFC North or AFC East champions.
East. Yep.
East. Um, by beating the shit out of Denver and Green
I was
Bay.
scared in that game
Why? Oh, Josh Allen.
because yeah, for fantasy, I got Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and when they first got up on him, I'm like, "Fuck, man, am I gonna get any more points?"
Yeah, and usually
Fucking fantasy
Saturdays,
playoffs.
Saturday games and even Thursday games, quite frankly, are not always the best with fantasy. But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen he's carrying the fuck out of you right now.
Yeah,
And
I
me
needed
too. I
that
got
shit
him in
too.
another league, in a money league.
I
So
needed that shit too because I played Keenan Allen on Thursday night and he didn't do shit. He had like 2 points, 2 fantasy points. So so I needed that big performance from him and Diggs. They combined and got me like 67 points, something like that, or whatever, just the two of them. So that was huge for me.
yeah, yeah. Um, I know one thing. You better get you a tight end, and that's what you better do.
Yeah. No, I am. I haven't decided because
Oh,
the
I
thing with
see.
Keenan Allen, was that he was coming off of a hamstring, and so at first they were saying he wasn't going to play, and then they were saying he was going to play, and I wasn't sure what's going to happen. And I'm like, it's fucking fantasy playoffs. He's not listed as questionable. They say he's playing. You got to go with your best guy. So I put him in there, and then he was in there like as a fucking decoy or something. So that shit fucked me. And so now I'm like, I get it. When you play fantasy, you might have a player that don't do anything, but it's the game to go to the championship. I can't have that happen twice at premier receiver and then tight end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
so I'm kind of just waiting to see what's up with Gasecki or whatever before I put the other guy in.
True. True.
Because since Tua became the starter, he don't throw the deep ball a lot. So them short to intermediate passes, that's kind of where he's been living, and that's Gasecki's wheelhouse. So I've been eating off the fucking PPR with that guy.
Yeah, that's generally what you're gonna get from young quarterbacks anyway. Young
Hmm.
quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, they're gonna hit the check or they're gonna hit the tight end a lot. So
Yeah,
yeah, there's some opportunity there for sure. If he's healthy, if Gasecki's healthy.
yeah.
Um all right, so we only have 11 games left to pick, I believe, from what we missed out on. Some 1 o'clock games. We'll start with
You didn't do the standings. I interrupted you.
oh,
You
that's
were trying
right.
to talk about like how you know you're
Yeah,
winning and all of this rah rah shit.
that's true. I probably, I should act like I've been here since I win a lot. Um Last week was a rough week for you. You went 8-8 because you had some picks with the heart. You went with Miami, you let EJ talk you into the Giants. Oh man, you guys was fucked up. You went 8-8. You and EJ were on some shit last week. EJ went 9-7. And I went 14-2. And
Damn.
the two that I missed, we all had the same ones. We all had New Orleans over Philly, and we all had Carolina over Denver. But if they would have both hit, man, that would have been a sweep, 16-16. But anyway, I went 14-2. So that brings me to 119-69 on the season. Brings you to 116-72, 3 back on the season, and then EJ back 4 from you at 112-76. So let's get moving. We have the San Francisco 49ers going into Jerry's World to play America's team, the Dallas Cowboys today. That's our
EJ
first
took the
one.
49ers in that one.
EJ's got the 49ers. All right. San Francisco
Yeah.
for EJ. What's up? What you got?
For that one, I'm gonna. What's the word on Zeke? I thought I read something about an injury or something.
They're saying he's gonna play. He's a hamstring. I'm
Uh,
sorry, I think it's a hamstring. I could be wrong. I don't think it actually. Let me double check that
yeah.
because I could be wrong. It may not actually be a hamstring. I know. Give me 2 seconds. But I know they're saying he's playing. Oh, it's his calf injury.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's still bad for a running back, hammy calf. Um, Fuck it. I'm still going Dallas on that. I mean, 49ers is that team is fucking mash unit basically. So I'm gonna go Dallas on that one.
Yeah. I gotta go Dallas. No question there. There's no Debo Samuel, so Ayuk will probably eat a little bit with San Fran. Um, San Fran would be a much better team if they would just stick to Raheem Mostert, but they want to try and run the ball with 7 running backs a game. So it's just not great for them.
Yeah.
Another NFC East team, the Washington football team, is hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Dwayne Haskins will be starting again because Alex Smith's comeback tour has slowed due to an injury to the same leg that he had all those surgeries
Mm.
to. So Seattle at 9-4 going into Washington at 6-7. What's that look like for you?
EJ took the Seahawks on this one.
Yep.
And for me, I'm gonna go Seahawks as well here. I haven't been picking them well. It seems like I pick them, they lose. I pick against them, they win. but I think they actually get this one done against a Washington team that's looked a lot better than we expected at the start of the season. But I still think Seahawks get it done.
No doubt. I am with you guys. That is a sweep. I got Seattle too. Washington's defense has looked very good. I just don't trust Haskins, man. I might play him
Yeah,
on fantasy for $3 on DraftKings or something like that, just in case, because Seattle's secondary has been shit, and this could be his hey, I should be your starter game. And I wouldn't want to
yeah.
miss on that. So, but I'm still Seahawks on that. Um, we have a divisional game. Chicago Bears are going into Minnesota. Trubisky is going to be the starter, even though Foles is back from that head injury or neck injury that he had. Um, and Minnesota looks to be pretty healthy. And this game, it's also a 1 o'clock game. They're both 6-7. What you think?
For this one, I'm gonna EJ took the Vikings. I'm gonna go Vikings as well here. They've looked pretty good this season. Surprisingly, I really thought that Stephon Diggs trade was gonna hurt them a lot offensively, and they seem to still be clicking. And plus, fucking Dalvin Cook, man, goddamn, I'm playing against him today too. I need him to shit the bed big time, especially the way he's been playing the last couple weeks. So
Yeah, Dalvin Cook is something different, man.
yeah,
But that Diggs is they were able to eat that because Justin Jefferson, the rookie, he came on and he's hot.
yeah.
He's making a case. I mean, Herbert made a huge case Thursday night and throughout the season. But yeah, I think man, it's in Minnesota. It's a divisional game. Chicago's defense, I think they can get it together. I feel like Trubisky at the helm. Minnesota's defense is not that good. I'm gonna take Chicago in this one and go a little different, contrarian against you guys. Um, for that, our next game is an AFC East matchup. We have the 6-7 New England Patriots visiting the Miami Dolphins. Um, and the Dolphins are at 8-5 right now.
On this one, I'm gonna go Dolphins. New England, they've been bad. They don't have nothing to play for anymore. I think they're officially eliminated from the playoffs because of the loss last week. Normally, in a situation like this, I would actually be nervous for my Dolphins because they don't know how to win. But having a guy like Flores who, is bringing a different kind of mentality to the team, the coaching staff, etc. I think they get it done. Defense has been playing well. The defense has been a fucking turnover machine. The last, I think we've had a turnover in every game since like week 14 of last season. So, uh, and then Cam's good for coughing it up. So, yeah, I'm going to go Dolphins, and EJ took Dolphins as well.
Gesicki is out. That just came
Nope.
across,
Let me go ahead and
but
make
I'm
that
gonna
move.
go. I am going Miami as well, but yeah, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I see it here.
Uh,
Gesicki's out. I guess it's
yep.
Jordan Smythe time.
Okay, sure. You guys don't have a
Yeah,
running back. You guys don't have a tight end. You know what? This might not be it. This might not be it, Chief. Um.
yeah.
All right, let's move on. Jacksonville, 1-12, going into Baltimore. They are starting Minshew. They've decided they're not gonna continue the Mike Glennon experience.
Which game is this? You said Jacks versus.
Baltimore.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens. Nothing to see here. EJ took the Ravens as well.
Yep, sweet, too
I have the
easy.
Ravens defense too, so I hope they bring the pound game. Pause.
Oh, okay, all right. We got a divisional NFC South matchup. The Tampa Bay Tom Brady Buccaneers are going into Atlanta. Atlanta has no Julio Jones, although a report came out that says he still wants to play even though he had an injection. Um,
Oh man,
you laughing at?
I'm thinking about last week. when we was talking about Julio in the chat, he was saying, I was like, Julio's kind of feast or famine. You kind of knew that going in. And you was like, yeah, but he hasn't had a chance to feast
It's true, he's
because he's
fucking
always
terrible.
fucking injured.
Fucking dude, man. His body's just not made for football. It is not. He
Man,
stay.
if you had made the playoffs, this would have been a rough week for you because you know Michael Thomas and no Julio.
That that's how my years look. That's why I didn't make the playoffs, motherfucker. Uh yeah, it's been a rough year for me, but I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yeah,
I get through it. So yeah, so we got Arizona, Tampa Bay going into. I'm sorry, not Arizona. Tampa Bay going into Atlanta. I'm rolling with Tampa Bay on this one. I think they get right. However, they will be Fournette is going to be their starting running back because Ronald Jones is in COVID protocol.
yeah. I was planning on starting that motherfucker at flex. Oh, rough week for me.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I'm gonna go Tampa Bay here as well. Uh, Atlanta's already bad, and then no Julio. That's worse. So I'm gonna go Tampa Bay, but EJ actually took the Falcons.
okay. Yeah. I don't know about that. Not without Julio. Detroit, Matt Stafford is going to go out there and play with some damaged lung uh or ribs rather, damaged ribs.
Yeah, I read it
Uh
was like he tore the cartilage between the ribs. I'm like, how the fuck did that even happen?
Dog, you have you have no chance at the playoffs. Like, at what point do you just say, you know what? I don't need to prove that I'm fucking tough. Like,
Doesn't he have like a record, like consecutive starts record or something? Or I
it
know he
does.
had that for a while. I don't know if it got broken at some point. Maybe that's what it is.
You know what's gonna get broken? His fucking ribs. That's what's
Yeah,
gonna get broken.
and his
Uh,
thumb is fucked up, I believe, if I'm not
and
mistaken.
yeah, he's been battling that thumb issue too, and it's on his throwing hand, which is rough.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Hmm. So Detroit is going into Tennessee. The Tannehill Titans. I am rolling with them. They're 9-4. Detroit is 5-8. But I just feel like Tennessee. I think Derrick Henry is going to run for about 172 yards today.
Yeah. I'm with you there. It's a clean sweep. EJ took the Titans. I'm going Titans as well.
Gotcha.
I don't know why. I mean, we talk about this all the time when we do sports, like the coaches, the team. Sometimes you got to save the player from themselves. This is your quarterback. Yeah, he's long in the tooth. Maybe he's only going to be there another year or two, but he's still going to be there another year or two. You got this motherfucker out there playing for nothing with fucked up ribs and a fucked up thumb on the throwing hand or whatever. That's insane.
With nothing to win, nothing to gain,
Exactly.
rather.
It's not like we win this game and we go to the dance. It's like we win this
Right.
game and we just won another dance. I mean, another game.
Right.
Maybe
Unless,
we
I
we
mean, unless
we
there's
change
something in
draft
his
positions by
contract.
one spot.
Yeah. Unless there, yeah, no. Unless there's something in his contract about playing, which we don't
Yeah,
know about. Who knows, right? But then even still, I guess at that point, that would be the team that would be like, nah, dog, we're gonna keep you safe.
right.
Your safety is number one for us.
Hmm.
uh, Divisional game, Houston, 4-9 going into Indy, 9-4.
You said they're playing at Indy.
They are playing in Indy. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna take the Colts here.
Yeah, I have to roll with the Colts. I don't feel good about Deshaun still, just because he
Yeah,
doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to.
yep. And EJ, he took the Colts as well.
Yeah. They got Brandon Cooks, but that's about it. And Houston can't stop a nosebleed, so that run game for Indy is going to be nice today.
Yeah,
Uh, Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts took over the helm. Looked really good last week. He is to be starting again today. 4-8-1. They're going into Arizona, who is 7-6. I'm rolling with Arizona. Okay, Kyler Murray is. I think he's going to get it done today. I just hope he doesn't do too much with DeAndre because I'm playing against him.
yeah. I'm the opposite. I got DeAndre going. and Dave has Kyler Murray. So I
Oh,
need DeAndre to do some numbers so that way it gets kind of offset, but Kyler can run too. So um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Arizona.
easy.
Yeah, and then EJ he went.
You went Philly.
Uh, did he pick this game? Let's see, home straight. Oh, he went Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm looking for Arizona. I'm looking for Arizona, but he put Cardinals. I'm
Okay.
like, did he pick this game? Like,
All right.
so I guess a clean sweep there.
The 0-13 New York Jets going into, yeah, I'm just gonna write it down. I'm not even gonna
Yeah,
mess with you guys. They're going to play the Rams. You know what? I gotta get some bets in today. Some of these games look easy. I gotta look at the spreads though. Spreads might make it difficult. This is gonna be, I think, the game of the week. It's an afternoon game. Kansas City going into New Orleans. I really wish Michael Thomas was healthy for this one just to see a better game, especially with Drew Brees coming back. But Kansas City is 12-1. New Orleans is 10-3. We have seen Patrick Mahomes struggle in some weird spots, and I think this is one of the games he'll struggle in. I don't think Drew Brees is 100%. I'm still gonna roll with Kansas City, but I don't think it's gonna be the shootout that people expect it to be.
yeah, I agree with you, man. But I'm gonna go Chiefs as well. Like, I mean, we saw last week Mahomes threw 3 interceptions against the Dolphins, and they still put up 40 points. And with no Michael Thomas, Breeze coming off injury, I don't know if the Saints are going to score 40 points. And it seems like the number to beat KC is 40 plus. So I think KC gets it done.
Yeah.
And EJ's on the Chiefs as well.
I think Kamara's gonna have 18 catches today, though. That motherfucker's catching everything. Oh man. All right. So then we have the night game today. Cleveland Browns 9-4 will be visiting the New York Giants, who are 5-8.
I'm going to go Cleveland here. Um, I don't know. Baker's. It seems like ever since that podcast when we were picking the Browns, and you said Baker hasn't thrown a touchdown since like week 5 or some shit like that. I forget what the stat was. Like, it's motherfucker's been rolling ever since then.
Yeah, he decided it's time.
So I'm gonna go with the Browns.
Browns. Yep, I'm with you on that one. Solely because I hate the Giants.
And then
And
EJ
also
took
Danny Dimes
EJ
is out.
took the nouns.
He took the nouns
The
out, so
the
he's getting
the noun however you say it. But he took the Browns, but
yeah. I wonder how Cleveland would look if Odell was still there.
I thought about that too. Like, would they be on this roll? Would Baker be trying to feed him more, and then all the stuff that's happening is not happening? It's interesting, a thought experiment, but
Let's
you know,
pick this last game and then let's talk about that because I wanted to talk about that and then I wanted to kind of tie that into Kyrie a little bit. Um, Pittsburgh going into Cincinnati. Pittsburgh going into Cincinnati. Pittsburgh's 11-2. Cincinnati's 2-10-1. Cincinnati doesn't have Joe Burrow. Um,
Steelers.
Pittsburgh's coming off of 2 losses in a row. I think that's Pittsburgh across the board for us.
Yeah, EJ took them as well. And do we need to pick the games for the next pod?
Yeah, who's playing?
Well, we probably should do that in the chat because EJ didn't pick those.
Yeah, we can do that in the chat.
Okay.
Um, so Odell, if Odell was playing for the Browns, like you said, you know, does diva mode come out? Where then Baker feels he has to force it to him. Um, I think that would be, that'd be the case. They have a good thing going with, the running game, and I think it would be for Odell seeing Nick Chubb constantly getting the ball and then Kareem Hunt getting the ball and then him getting, sprinkled in between Jarvis Landry and everybody else. I don't know, man. I think his ego is too big to think team first. And I think that would be having a negative impact on Cleveland. How you feel?
I definitely agree with that. Odell is not a team guy, in my opinion. He's more of a me first kind of guy. And you know, when you think about like especially like that kind of injury, he's not there on the sidelines, so he's not in the locker room. He's probably not even at the facility. He's probably wherever he is doing therapy at to rehab. He might not even be in Cleveland for all we know. So the locker room is different. The practices are different. The options in the game is different because now we don't have this one big receiver that we gotta feed all the time. I can spread it around. I'm looking at the third progression. In the play. I'm going to the check down instead of forcing it to Odell or whatever. These situations where I would throw it to the corner for Odell to try to get a one-handed touchdown instead of handing it off to Chubb or to Hunt or whatever. And so it just makes it makes things different.
Mm.
um and given the success that they've had since he's gone, and I believe he had asked for a trade or saying that he wanted to be traded or something after the season. I don't remember the circumstances, but I believe that I read he wanted out of Cleveland after this year was over. And seeing how they've had success without him, that may be coming.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for, because it could definitely happen. Yeah, I think so I start to feel like the stardom, because of these cameras always on, you got guys, I'm like LeBron, who know how to deal with it. He remains professional. I mean, sometimes he does too much when he want to call himself a rap connoisseur, and he feels his need to get in front of the camera and rap, different tracks and stuff on Instagram, but that's harmless, right?
Yeah.
In comparison to some of these other guys. So he's professional. The stardom, I think, for him has done a good job. But I'm wondering, like, is it just the stardom? Because we see, and Odell's been a diva from the beginning. Um, but we see like Kyrie. Like Kyrie was he was for the most part normal and quiet and just like, I'm here to get the job done. He was a killer by himself up there losing. LeBron comes in, they get work, they win. You know what I'm saying? And then he starts his down, his plunge down off of the peak where, he wants to get out of Cleveland. He wants to show people, do you think it's people in his ear? Do you think it's the stardom after winning? Like, because it's just too much, man. It's too much.
I think it might be a little bit of both. And the reason why I say that is that Kyrie comes in the league, he's in Cleveland, right? And once LeBron leaves, the media isn't focused on Cleveland like that, right?
Mm,
Whereas in these other cities, like if you're in a New York, if you're in LA, and then he went to Boston, where the media market is bigger there. More is expected of you as a player, where maybe you're doing more stuff in the community, more interviews, and you have to be out in the limelight a little bit more than you were used to in a city like a Cleveland or an OKC or whatever. And maybe that kind of stuff, went to his head. Um, but also, I don't know if he truly believes this or if he is just talking some shit to be controversial or whatever. But I don't know if you remember, Kyrie is one of those flat Earth people who say the Earth is flat. You know,
mhm.
and so if that's truly how he feels and what he believes, you, you know what I mean? It like maybe it's not the media. Maybe he's just kind of out there.
Crazy as fuck.
He could be Dennis Rodman without the piercings and the hair.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just weird because he took like this quick turn, man. Like he went from, just being a guy that was good, a star, one of the best point guards in the league, to this motherfucker was in Boston saging the fucking arena, the arena, um, before the game, dog, and being like, and just like nothing, like it was no big deal, man. It just
When you posted that shit in the chat, like I don't know, in my mind, I didn't see it. I just saw what you wrote, and I envisioned like maybe he was like in a locker room, like burning some sage. And then when I saw the video, I'm like, what the fuck? Like this nigga having like a seance or some shit. What the fuck is going on?
and I'm surprised they let him do that. You know what I mean? Like I'm surprised they were like, okay, yeah, we're good with you saging the court. You know what I'm saying? Like it seems odd to me that they would allow him to stage the sign
Yeah,
court, where people are going to be sitting. Like everybody doesn't have whatever beliefs you have, the same beliefs that you might have. You fucking psycho. It was
yeah, that shit was weird, man.
yeah,
That
man.
shit was super fucking weird.
Yeah.
But it's like the thing you had posted from your cop friend or whatever. NBA is it's made up of people from everyday society, man, and some of these people are fucking like complete weirdos. The only difference is that had they not been drafted into this huge fraternity where they have this huge spotlight and platform on social media and stuff like that, we would never have to hear of the crazy shit that they think and believe in or whatever. But because they are who they are, a lot of this, shit gets streamed to us, on our phones and TVs and things like that. Kyrie's doing Sage at the Boston Arena to, you know, get rid of goblins that sit in the 100 section or whatever. So,
Especially with
so
nobody there, dog. You ain't got no fucking fans there.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know if they're gonna let him keep doing that shit, but I could imagine he's gonna do that shit somewhere, and there's gonna be somebody who's like allergic to sage, and they're gonna sue the shit out of NBA.
Right. Right.
So that shit is just crazy, man. It's I don't know.
I'm surprised they
It's
look.
it's insane.
I'm surprised they look
Yo,
at him.
speaking of crazy, I don't know if you were planning on talking about this, but let me bring it in just in case. Uh, Kobe's mother-in-law.
Ooh, Vanessa Bryant's mom.
Yeah,
Dog.
man.
Yo, money will change motherfuckers. Let me tell you, dog. Everybody
Oh man.
everybody loves their family until money is involved.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I did see that come across. She is suing Vanessa Bryant for what was it? Something like 11 years.
She's saying 19 years of being a nanny and a personal assistant, and for the nanny, I think she said it was like 6 or 7 days a week at a cost of, I believe the number is $96 an hour.
Yeah, they're gonna look at her like they looked at Trump in court. They're gonna be like, that's called a grandma. Like, bitch, you don't look at Instagram. You don't see all these fucking these women out in the streets. Where you think their kids are? Now, granted, I don't think Vanessa was in the streets, obviously, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's like relax. What the hell's wrong with these people? Yo,
Yeah, the shit is crazy. And
money.
she says, yeah, no doubt. She says, something about how Kobe promised he would always take care of her, and after Kobe died, Vanessa cut her off, and apparently, like she was like living at this house that Kobe and Vanessa owned, where it was the house is like near their current home in L.A.,
Mhm.
but I guess they didn't live in it, so they let her live there and like provided a vehicle for her. And she's saying that Vanessa like took the car and the personal assistant bullshit, and then she needs money for communications for like her phone and all this kind of crazy shit. It's insane, man. It is in fucking insane. It's like you said, money changes people, and I just, I could imagine, like, just like you were talking about, like, that's called being a grandma or whatever. Like, I can imagine them going to court and ask, like, a lawyer asking, like, how do you differentiate your nannying responsibilities to just being a grandma, spending time with the babies? You know
Right,
what I mean? Like,
right.
that shit oh, that's so crazy, man. It is insane.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And like I said, it's just money. And so you break that relationship with your family member, and so you find a lawyer of some sort. It seems this is what seems to me, right? Broke the
Hmm.
relationship potentially with her. Found a lawyer that was probably like, "Hey, I got an idea. I know how we can get you your money, get you the money back." And I'm
Yeah,
wondering if that's what took place. It's just bad, man. Bad business, man. And like you got to think about the relationship. You break the relationship now even further with your daughter, and how that can also impact your relationship with your with your grandkids.
that was the point I was just gonna make. Is that like the grandkids grow up, they get a little bit older, and they learn that at one of the lowest points in their mother's life, where she's lost her husband and lost her daughter at the same time in a super tragic way, right? She had to grieve publicly and still raise the kids that she got left. And granted, it'll probably be easier for her than it would for me or you, just given the resources that she has available to her, given how much money Kobe made over a career. But still, grieve nonetheless, right? And then you come and do this shit to our mom. Like how is that gonna work with the grandma grandchild dynamic? Like once those kids get a little bit older, where they see like you essentially tried to fuck my mom over while she was at one of the lowest points in her fucking life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and how old is the oldest his oldest right now? I think Natalia's the oldest one, isn't she? Um
At the one who passed was Gianna,
14.
so
Yeah.
she was the middle one.
And so Natalia's 17, right?
Okay.
So imagine, right? She obviously has social media, right? She's watching TV. She's seeing her mother, her grandmother showing up on these shows. And so to what point, right? And we do blame her mother a lot, but you know, do we also blame Vanessa for not just wanting to go ahead and also shield her kids from this and just saying, you know what, bitch, here, take this fucking $1 million and get the fuck out of our lives, and keeping it off of the news because they're gonna be in the news enough, for the rest of their lives.
And I hear what you're saying, and I think that that's part of the hope of people who sue, especially when it's like bullshit. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
hope that the person would throw some money at you to make it go away. And we were talking about it last night, and me and my wife, and I was like, I wondered, because you remember like how Kobe had a bad dynamic with his dad. I don't know if that ever got repaired or not or whatever, but I know there was like some friction there, and I think it was over him marrying Vanessa, if I'm not mistaken.
right.
Um, and so I wonder if there was some kind of friction between Vanessa and her mom, and then because of the dynamic that Kobe had with his own family, maybe that's why he was, taking care of the mom or whatever. And now that he's gone, Vanessa's like, yeah, fuck that shit. Who knows? But regardless, man, I think I think it's super fucked up or whatever. But to answer your question, I don't think that Vanessa should pay her off to make it go away. I think you try to shield your kids as much as you can from it while you deal with it. You know what I mean? And then, once it's done, it's done. The one thing I think that will be uh, um, a big thing is, for the older daughter, Natalia, like you said, she's old enough. She has social media. She's probably knows that this shit's happening. For the baby, when that baby grows up and maybe wonders, how come I don't see grandma even though she's alive or whatever, you might have to have a conversation. But I don't think you pay her off to get rid of her, because that's just gonna have the next motherfucker come, when what's gonna happen when the gardener says, oh, Kobe said he was gonna always take care of me, and then you see what I'm saying? Like you could end up starting a fucking train load of motherfuckers coming who always you made these promises to or whatever, allegedly.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy, man.
Hmm.
Women are crazy,
Like you
dude.
said though, money, man, the money, it changes people, and not just the motherfucker who got it. So
Yeah. Yeah, people look for a way, man. Just look for a way to fuck other people over.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. We live in a society, and then not only are we living in that society, but then you have these fucking, these bullshit ass fucking lawyers that are, you know, helping this out. Helping
Hmm.
people out with these types of fucking lawsuits and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just crazy. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. And people talk about reforming the legal system to like whenever you hear people talk about like tort reform, they're
Hmm.
talking about like reforming like frivolous lawsuits and things like that. But then you start getting into the weeds of, well, what's frivolous and what's not, and a lot of times what ends up happening is that they whenever they make these new tort laws, they don't end up reforming, like saying you can't sue for this bullshit. What they end up doing is just changing the amounts you can get. So, you might be in like in Texas, for example, where something can happen to you and it's legit and you sue, and maybe the jury awards you $10 million, and then because Texas has this tort law that says for a lawsuit you can't get more than 500 grand, the judge says, okay, the jury's found for you, but under the laws of Texas you only get 500,000, so I'm reducing your $10 million judgment to 500 grand, and then boom, you walk away with $500,000, even though you went to the hospital to get your leg amputated and they cut off the wrong leg.
Yeah, yeah, or something else.
Yeah.
What else do we have on the docket? I wanted to talk to EJ about it. But I've been noticing. I'm wondering if it's just holiday time. I've been seeing some statuses changing on Facebook in a relationship with, and you know, probably better suited for EJ in this day and age. Do you change that? When do you change that Facebook status? Like, do you change that Facebook status after a couple dates? Are people still having that conversation? The conversation to say, we're a thing. What are we? You're mine. Whatever. Or is it just like after a couple times where you slide up in the guts, or the first time where you get in there that changes. But that was going to be a question that I had for him, and it's unfortunate that he's not here to assist with that.
Yeah, I think that definitely would have been a good question for him, because when these kinds of uh questions became a thing, I was already married and out of the game, so I never had to worry about, should I change my relationship status? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and shit, I actually don't even know if I ever did that on my social media. I'm not sure. I think it might be whatever it's set to when you create the account, but I don't know. But but yeah, man, I think that's something new. Like it almost like you ever watch like a TV show or a movie, and like they go on a date, and like on the first date the person's talking about wanting kids and being married, and like, oh, this motherfucker's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
is that kind of the same concept with social media, where it's like, oh, we went on the first date and this motherfucker changed their profile to say, in a relationship, so
Relationship.
I gotta back away.
Right. The first time you pay, we're in a relationship. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, social media just makes it makes things complicated, man. I watched a documentary on HBO like a year or so ago. I can't even remember the name of it, but it was basically talking about like the kind of pressure that social media creates for young people when it comes to dating, and like some of the expectations they have, and things like that, and they had this one girl. The people in there were like all like college age, and some people who probably were like, mid 20s, maybe early 30s or whatever.
right.
And one of the younger girls they were talking to, she was like, you know even when she's had sex with a guy, she was like, she's having like anxiety like while it's happening, because she's thinking about how she looks to him, like, as while he's looking down at her, if he's on top or whatever, is
Hmm.
she not looking good? Like, like, is her makeup okay or whatever, because of how these kids feel like they have to present themselves on social media, where everything's got to be looking crisp and filtered, and makeup on point and all that kind of shit, And I'm like, damn, yo, like that just seems like crazy to me,
Seems like
but
a
I
lot to
didn't
have to
grow up.
worry about. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it was interesting. I'm gonna find the name of that shit and post it in the chat. It was an interesting documentary. But you know, so yeah, man, I think it's probably tough for these people dating in a social media environment, but I'm glad I didn't have to go through that shit.
Yeah, I'd have to assume, you know, being a man, that the last thing somebody's thinking about when they're looking out looking down at you is is your makeup okay?
Right.
Like, I promise you, there's never been a nigga that's like, oh shit, I'm done. I just can't do this with you with your fucking makeup like that. Jeez,
Like,
that damn
do you know how
wingtip.
to contour?
It's just out of control, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
these kids do have it a little bit challenging, man, and their access is even more to other individuals, like for cheating and shit.
Yeah.
With all the social media and the ability to send pictures and shit like that is just it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think that pretty much sums up our topics list, right? Let me see. Tenet, NFL picks, what to watch. Politics. We got anything that has changed? I know we last time we recorded was before the electoral votes, right? Electoral college votes, right?
Ye-
We
No,
recorded there. No?
because yeah, it was before. Because they met on Monday on the 14th. Yeah,
Okay.
so it was before, the day before.
All right. So what's been going on since then? Anything of note?
Since then, basically the electoral college they met on Monday and officially made Joe Biden and Kamala Harris the president and vice president elect. Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, has now recognized Biden and Kamala as the winners. Um, uh, since then, I think things with Trump has gotten a little bit crazier, a little scarier. I still don't think anything's gonna happen here, but it's crazy that we have to even consider it. Where he's still not accepting the results of the election. There's been
Really?
talk, yeah, in the New York Times, or before I even get to that, he's talked about how January 6th is really like the key date when the Congress has to review the results of the Electoral College. And he's telling his supporters this, but it's not really anything that's going to happen. Essentially, what's going to happen is the Congress is going to read the votes from the Electoral College. They go state by state in alphabetical order. Any member can object to the results. Um, if they object, they have to have one member from the House, one member from the Senate. If you get an objection that has a member from both, they break out into a session with the House and a session with the Senate to review these claims, and then they take a vote. The Democrats on the House side are going to vote it down. They control the House. Nothing to see here. On the Republican side, it's likely to be on the Senate side, I should say, which is controlled by Republicans. It's likely to be voted down. But even if it's not, if both sides don't agree, then the Constitution essentially says you go back to what the results were from the Electoral College. So nothing's going to change. But Trump also met with Sidney Powell. She's one of his lawyers who they ended up firing, but he's still meeting with her, who's like spouting all these conspiracy theories. He's talked about making her like some kind of special counsel to review voting irregularities, which there are none. Um, Michael Flynn, the general who was his national security advisor, who Trump pardoned a few weeks ago, has been
Mhm.
talking about how Trump should declare martial law and then send the military into the swing states to run a new election and all this kind of thing like that. So that's the thing where I'm saying, like, the shit is getting to a crazy point. And the problem is, in my opinion, is that besides like people in media, calling him out for this shit, people who are like elected officials aren't saying anything. It's like, oh, he's just blowing off steam. This is absurd. It's never gonna happen. And I'm like, this guy is president. Like he has some power. Like the shit he's saying he's gonna do or he wants to do is illegal, right?
Right.
But does somebody stop him? And then people say the courts would never allow that to happen, And there's the saying back in the I think it happened in the 40s, when I'm not sure what year it happened, but the president did something, and the Supreme Court basically said he couldn't do it, and then the president says, so is the Chief Justice going to send his army to stop me or something like that, because
Mm.
the Supreme Court's enforcement mechanism is just us believing in the system. The court said this is illegal, so we say, okay, we can't do that.
Right.
But what if the court say, hey, you can't do it? And he says, yeah, okay, so stop me. you know,
Right.
you wrote this piece of paper that says I can't do it. Okay, I got
Yeah.
control of the nuclear weapons. Now what?
Yeah. Boogie boogie boo. I got the codes, nigga. You better change them shits.
So
Psycho.
so that part is scary. Even that would, like, speaking of the nuclear codes, there's been talk of what's going to happen on inauguration day, with the nuclear football. So there's a military aid that goes everywhere with the president and the vice president. They have this satchel they carry, and it's called the football, and it basically allows the president to be able to launch a nuclear strike from anywhere on the planet, whatever. And this person goes everywhere with the president. Now, Trump has said that he's not going to go to the inauguration. I don't know if that's true or not, but assuming that he doesn't, what the fuck's going to happen with the nuclear football? Because that's something that happens at the inauguration, but it happens behind the scenes. It's not something that we see, where basically the football is handed off or whatever the morning of the inauguration. There's like a secret meeting or whatever that happens with the new incoming president, where they give him this thing they call it the biscuit. I don't know where they get these fucking names for these things, but
The
the
biscuit.
biscuit is basically this card
Definitely
that the
person.
president carries everywhere he goes that has the nuclear codes on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then once they have the inauguration, then the nuclear football, the satchel that the military aid carries, that's handed off to like the new guy who's going to be with the new president or whatever. But if Trump doesn't go to the inauguration, that means that his nuclear football is going to be wherever the fuck he's at, you know. And so, we don't know. The Defense Department says that they have they're prepared for these kinds of things. We know that there are 3 nuclear footballs at least, because the president has one, the vice president has one, and then there's a third one for the designated survivor. So just in case like the unthinkable happens, whoever that person is that they put off in hiding somewhere to take over in case everybody gets blown the fuck up. But we know that there are at least 3. But if there's a 4th one, maybe that's the one they'll give to Biden until they can take the shit away from whoever's with Trump or what. I don't know. But it's these kinds of things that this guy has done that we have to game plan for.
He's like a fucking child, dog.
Yeah,
He's like a child.
yeah.
Man, they need to put his ass under arrest. I know Biden ain't for that, but if he gets out of control. Oh, by the way, Ezekiel Elliott is out today.
Okay.
I know you asked about that earlier. Biden need to put his ass under arrest if he start acting crazy after after or around inauguration day.
Yeah. It's gonna be, I don't know, man. It's gonna be an interesting time. You got millions of people who believe that the election was fraudulent, and you know, um, they having these quote unquote stop the steal rallies and shit. People are
Yeah,
getting stabbed and all. So I think they need to. It seems like Biden's thinking is, I'm not going to address this shit because I don't want to give it any more attention than it's already getting. We already know it's bullshit. Nothing's gonna happen. Blah 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 blah. And there's other people saying, yo, this shit's serious, man. And this guy's a threat to democracy. And like more needs to be said about it to make people understand the seriousness of it, instead of thinking like, oh, it's just Trump being Trump. You know,
right,
boys will be boys.
right. It's okay. He'll get over it. He's just
Yeah.
coping right now.
Right. He's blowing off steam or whatever. And it's like, He's a fucking 74-year-old man who's the president who has the nuclear codes in his pocket or whatever. Like, what the fuck? Like, we shouldn't be giving him 6 weeks to blow off steam or whatever. Like, the country's business still needs to be done. Like, these vaccines are come out and they're being distributed all around the country or whatever. And I think this dude has said 2, maybe 3 things about COVID since the election. It's all about the election was stolen. It was stolen. It was stolen. It was stolen. It's almost like he's not even being president anymore, which I would argue he never was, but still.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I haven't seen him. Quite
Right.
frankly, I haven't seen him around. You would think that he would still be popping up and saying, "Hey, niggas is dying," you know. But
Exactly. And then even when we hit some of the milestones, like when we hit 300,000 deaths, 17 million overall cases or whatever, the vaccine coming out, and a lot of people giving that thing that he started, that Operation Warp Speed shit, a lot of credit for getting these vaccines out so fast. So you would think he would at least come out and take a victory lap, But
right,
his whole thing has been, how do I steal the election? How do I essentially, do a coup?
take back America again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's got a problem, man.
yeah.
He's got
And
a
then the
problem.
other thing, big thing in politics happening is the Congress says they're getting near to passing another relief bill. It'll be just under $1 trillion. They're thinking they'll probably vote either tomorrow or Tuesday. Some of the highlights in it is that there will be a new round of unemployment assistance. Last time that unemployment assistance was $600 additional on top of whatever you got from your state unemployment. And this time it'll be $300. So they cut it in half. Um, Sorry about that. I had it on my phone. I took a screenshot of it. I was trying to be precise here, but I can't find it for some reason.
I thought it was
But yeah,
something
so
like
anyway,
$600 per person, 300 per kid. Is that right?
yeah. So for the direct payments,
Kids are people
it
too,
would
right?
be for the direct payments, the last go around, it was $1,200 for adults under a certain income threshold and $500 for children. This go around, it would be $600 across the board for adults and children, which is fucking insane, man. Like, people are hurting out here, and they're sending you $600. Like, I don't get our government, man. And then there's money for states for, like, vaccine distribution and testing and that kind of thing like that. So, but for the stuff that most people care about, which would be the additional unemployment benefits, it will be an additional $300 on top of whatever you get from your state, and then the $600 in direct payments for adults and children.
There was something else too uh for businesses, right? They were
Yeah,
giving a
they're giving additional money for that PPP program.
okay.
They're adding in like an additional, I think it was like $300 billion for that program, which they need to get that shit under control. I don't know if they're gonna do it this time, but we had talked about it a little bit before, like how like Tom Brady's company had got a PPP loan,
Mhm.
and people were saying like, we get it that these things are for businesses, right, to be able to keep their people employed, but we're not. The idea of the program was for, you know you started a restaurant and you have like, you know 2 restaurants, and you've had to shut down because of COVID. So yeah, okay, I can get this PPP loan and keep paying my people so they can feed their families and shit like that, right? Not for somebody who's already rich as fuck to get
Mhm.
money from the government to keep their business. Like, why can't they do that shit on their own if they're already super rich?
Right.
And like the Lakers got a fucking PPP loan when the program came out the first time, and then once it came out in the media, they gave the money back, which obviously shows you they don't need it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so, that's the problem I have with the program, is that I feel like it was intended to be used a certain way, and that's not the way that it's being used when you have these fucking extremely rich individuals or businesses themselves that are taking money out of this fucking program.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. Um, I think that would obviously be for small businesses, right? We would assume that they would allocate it to small businesses now at this point, and they should probably look at, um, the size of the business, the potential earnings, and really what the earnings were for, maybe look at quarter three or quarter four earnings reports.
hmm Well, I would hope they do that, but this is the Congress, and one of the reasons this bill is coming up is that Congress was supposed to actually leave on Friday for their Christmas vacation, but
Right.
they're still in town because they're trying to get this fucking bill passed or whatever. There's an old saying in politics where they say like the politicians they can smell the jet fuel burning. They're trying to get
Mhm.
back home. You know what I mean? Which is fucking crazy that we've even joke about shit like that because like we literally hire these motherfuckers. We hire them. We pay their salaries. We pay for the travel. To do our business, and they're like, "Yo, we got to pass something quick. I got to get the fuck out of here." You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Time's up,
And
bruh.
that's just yeah, and that's just seen as okay. You know, Senator James Inhofe, Republican from Oklahoma, he was giving a speech on the Senate floor on either Thursday or Friday, and he said in part of his speech that they need to get whatever these issues is with this bill worked out so they can vote on it by Friday. Because if they don't get it done by Friday, they're gonna have to vote on it without him. Because Saturday is him and his wife, their 61st wedding anniversary, and he's gonna be home with his wife. And it's like people are like, "Oh, this guy really loves his wife," and I'm like, "Yo, we gave you a fucking job to do, dude. If you didn't want to be the senator from Oklahoma, you shouldn't have fucking ran." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I don't look at it like, "Oh, this guy just loves his wife 60 years. Oh, that's so sweet." Fuck that. You know
He's
what
so
I'm saying?
dedicated. He's so dedicated to his wife. Piece of shit.
Like that's the kind of shit that bothers me is that they get to do shit like that where it's just like and it's not like Congress works a lot, right? Do you know how much the Congress works?
Tell me.
They the Congress is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got an ear pod. You hear me? A low battery alert. I got one on the charger though. So, but
One in the
the Congress, there's 365 days in a year, 366 on a leap year. The Congress works about 180 to maybe 240 days a year, and the rest of the time they're off. They take the whole when they take a Congress comes into session. The session starts on July 3rd when they all get sworn in. They get sworn in. They're in session for about a week or two, and then they go on recess around the time Martin Luther King, and they don't come back to February. And so they'll be in session for like a few weeks, and then they take a few weeks off. Now they'll tell you, even when they're out of session, they're still working. They say we're back in our districts, we're having town halls, and we're meeting with the people, fresh in the flesh, seeing what's happening in the communities. So that way, when we come back, we can do all this work to solve these problems, right? But I mean, you've been a citizen for 30 some years. How many fucking town halls have you seen, in
right.
your community?
Survey says.
So, it's crazy, man. They don't do that much. They take the whole month of July off. They come back in fucking August. They work like 2 weeks, and then they go back on for another 2 weeks, and don't come back until after Labor Day. And then they
Right.
come back after Labor Day, and they work until about the first couple days of October, and then they're off again because, especially in election year, they're off the rest of October to go campaign for re-election and shit. It's crazy the amount of work that they actually do, and then they're always itching to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Mm. Yeah. And what are their salaries?
Um, the the
Approximately.
regular rank and file people they make about, I believe the number is like 174,000 a year.
Mm.
And if you are a member of the leadership, so like you're like the majority leader, minority leader, they make like one like 90, they make like an extra 20 or $30,000 above what the normal salary is for being a member of leadership. And then
Yeah.
the speaker of the house makes, the speaker and the pro temp, which is the person who's in charge of the Senate, make, I think, an additional like 20,000 on top of that additional 30 that the leadership makes.
Mm.
So most members make 174,000, and then people of leadership make about 190, maybe 200 thereabout, and then the speaker, the leader of the Senate and the House make about 220 something.
Shit.
Yeah.
I don't even talk. That makes me wonder. Makes me wonder. Meanwhile, here we are.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And that's just the salary they make in Congress. I mean, these motherfuckers, some of them write books. You know, the average congressperson, or they're like, most of them are millionaires, you know. They write books, they give paid speeches. A lot of them have individual stock investments, which is what's been going on with these two in Georgia. We found out that they were making some trades, you know, with information that they got from these coronavirus briefings. Like Kelly Loeffler, the Georgia senator, in February, she got a classified COVID briefing, and then later that day or the next day or something like that, she all of a sudden sold all these hotel stocks she had. It's almost like she knew something was going to happen. You
Oh,
know?
surprise, surprise.
And not only that, she sold the hotel stocks and then bought into these telecommunication stocks that focused on work from home shit,
Mm.
Zoom and shit like that. You know? So either this chick is just great at fucking buying stocks, or you know she's trading on non-public information. But you know, some of that shit is not illegal for some reason. You know?
Maybe she's just that smart, Barry.
Yeah. So you know, it's shit like that. You know that they do, like mostly, like I think she is the richest person in Congress. Kelly Loeffler. She's worth like $800 million or something like that.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. Some of them people, some of them are insanely, wow, these motherfuckers.
What?
I just got the email from Amazon telling me my package was delivered. I ain't hear nobody knock on my door. I'm sitting right next to the motherfucker. So,
Oh, of course not. If you knock, you might open the door.
God damn. But yeah, man, you know, like she's worth like $800 million. Mitt Romney's worth like $400 million. That dude Daryl Issa, he's a congressman from California. He's
Mhm.
worth like $200 million. You know, so it's easy why they think, like, you know, they don't understand how money works. So for them, when they passed the stimulus that we got when it was like $1,200, Steve Mnuchin, who's the Treasury Secretary, who's worth like $300 or $400 million, he's a big banking finance guy before Trump made him Treasury Secretary. When people were saying like $1,200, what the fuck, he was like, people should be able to use that $1,200 for about a period of about 10 weeks. And it's like, you know how much
100
rent is though?
$120 a week. Sounds about right.
This motherfucker said $1,200 should last about 10 weeks. And it's like, even if you take that, you know, that theory, even though it's complete bullshit, 10 weeks is like 2.5 months. They passed that stimulus back in April. It's fucking December now. It's been 6 months now. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Mm.
So it's like you like 6 months late, dude, on the next round. And then you cut the next round in half.
Damn. What it's like to be rich, huh? Isn't
Yeah.
to look at people and be like, oh, they're just irresponsible.
Yep.
If they weren't so irresponsible with their money,
They could have a chef.
right? They could have a shit. Exactly. Right. Right. They could have a chef. They'd be able to live off of $1,200. Mm. All
So yeah,
right.
this shit is
Well,
crazy, man. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
yeah. I think that is all we have to cover today. We are over, which means EJ is gonna message me and be like, "You gotta edit it, gotta cut it," and I need to bark at these people to see why it's not letting us fucking record directly to Facebook because I'm gonna need some money back if they can't get this shit fixed.
If I had to guess, I would say Facebook's coming out with its own version of Be Live. So they like, we ain't letting you record on our shit. Just
Right.
like how, everything, anytime somebody in social media makes something, Facebook makes it.
Yeah. Yeah. But there is a way to go straight to YouTube, so I'm gonna look at that and see how we can do that too. Or there's some other options for us, but we'll get on
Yeah.
that. So I think without further ado, since we are done, and there's nothing additional for us to talk about, if you will go ahead and take us up out of here.
All right, everybody. Definitely thank you for joining us on the latest episode of the Cast Worthy podcast. We definitely appreciate all the support and love that you guys have shown this podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's grow the audience. Also, I want to send a special message out to all you moms out there. Just in case at some point in your life you do become rich, you should probably start keeping your grandma receipts just in case you get sued. Never know how handy those will come in. You don't think you need them until you need them. So, but anyway, all jokes aside, everybody please try to stay safe. If you gotta go out, wear a mask, social distance. If you can, avoid going out places. The vaccine is out. The second vaccine by Moderna was approved by the FDA on Friday. So, the light is at the end of the tunnel. But normal folks like us, we probably aren't getting the vaccine until like March, April timeframe, since they're doing essential workers, people in healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. So don't think that just because there's a vaccine out there that everything is all over. I know it's tough, but just try to keep doing the things that you've been doing to keep yourself and your family safe. And we're almost over. We're gonna get through this thing. Um, Maybe it'll be one of those things we laugh and joke about, years from now, or whatever. But we're gonna get there. But anyway, again, thank you guys for listening, for watching, and we will see you on the next one. You can check out the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, whether it's Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You can check out our website, which is www.castworthy.com. All the previous episodes are loaded there. They're also loaded on your podcasting platforms. Just search Castworthy. All of our social media, we're at Castworthy, except for Instagram, where it's at Castworthy_podcast. We will see you guys on the next one. Please stay safe, wear a mask. We love you. Peace.
Peace.